Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show, special guest Joey Long, joins us on the program today, director of the DeWitt County Museum. Good morning, Joey. How are you?
Good morning, Steph. I'm just great, and I hope the same is true with you and everyone listening in today.
It is. We appreciate you making time for us. Now, Joey, I have to confess to our listeners, when I get a call from you asking me to come on the show, when it's not your normal time to join us, you join us on the second or third Friday of the month, and that's usually enough to get everything out about the museum and all those things. So when you call me and say, Seth, I have something to talk about, can I get on the show soon? I know that it is a big deal because you do not ask me that very often. So, Joey, what is going on? I understand there is an artifact within your collection that is truly, truly, truly a treasure. Tell us what's going on here.
Yes. So I have something very exciting to share, and I hope that hearing this will encourage more people to come and take a look at the museum. I'm going to have this artifact on special display now through the end of the year when the museum closes. And so I just wanted to get the word out about this and let people know about this treasure that is in the museum collection and truly is a treasure, and let them know that the best time to see this relic would be between now and the end of the year. So I guess I will start at the beginning of the story. I love history, always have, but Civil War history has always been where my heart is. And, a lot of people in this town know that. And people are good and people are kind. And on more than one occasion, I've come home from running an errand or being on vacation or whatever, and will come home to find that someone has flung a Civil War book on my porch. Maybe the funniest time this happened when we had just gotten home from vacation and our hands are full and we're trying to get in the door, with the luggage and everything. And my husband looks down and says, "Oh, honey, John Brown's body is lying on our porch." I said, "Oh, bring him in."
All right, then.
Yeah, and I never did find out who left that book for me, but thank you. It was a great book, and I enjoyed it. So this past summer, we had been out on errands and came home, and once again, we came home to a book that had been placed on the porch. In this case, I do know who left that book for me. It was actually a dear friend of mine who had been helping a friend of hers clear out some of her deceased father's things. And a lot of these things were going in the garbage. And my friend, saw this book and thought, well, maybe Joey would enjoy this book. I'll just run it by. So she had done that. And I'm very grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Had it not been for this book, I wouldn't be relaying the story today. So the book was published in the 1960s or 1970s. And it was a book on Civil War relics. And so I sat there and paged through the book, and as I did, I came across a photograph of a Civil War relic. And I thought, we have one of those at the museum. So I went up to the museum, got in the case, pulled it out, and I thought, yeah, I think that this is a match.
Now, what time of day was that, Joey?
What time of day was it? It was probably, I'd say about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. Better than 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Well, trust me, Seth, had I come across the picture at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would have been going to the museum at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's why I asked, Joey.
Yeah, you know me. So, I'm very excited about this, but you have to be cautious. A lot of these things have been reproduced in some cases, or there were actually a few different men who were making similar objects. And so I needed to get the advice, the knowledge, the expertise, from an expert. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to take the time and revisit this little project. And I searched on the internet for someone who might, be very knowledgeable in this case. And I came across a very high-end auction house, gallery house, whatever you want to call it, in Gettysburg that deals in Civil War relics. And so I spoke to them on the phone, and then they were very interested in what I had. And they asked me to send some photographs and to send an email, and they were going to pass that on to one of their leading experts. The gentleman's name was Wes Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't heard back, and I was a little disheartened. I thought, well, maybe he doesn't have good news to share, But I did receive a phone call yesterday, and I was so very glad to hear from him. So it turns out that my little Civil War relic is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's been sitting on display in one of the display cases in the basement, among literally hundreds of other items. It caught my eye in the past. I've been curious about it, who made this and why was it made, and, when was it made, just,
Mm-hmm.
You have questions like that hadn't really had time to, really dig into that. So now I have the answers to all of those things.
So what are the answers, Joey?
All right. Well, first of all, maybe I will describe the object. So the object is actually what they would call a Civil War relic desk set. And these items were created by a few different men, but the first known person to create these desk sets was a man by the name of Edward Woodward. And what he did was, after the Battle of Gettysburg, he went out on the field and he collected up various relics, objects, bits and pieces. And then he assembled them in a very artistic way, attaching all of these things to a block of wood. And then they were either given to soldiers who had fought at Gettysburg as mementos. And then later, Mr. Woodward actually sold them as souvenirs when people would come to visit Gettysburg, especially those Civil War veterans who fought at Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
So to tell you a little bit about Mr. Woodward was born in England in 1814.
Mm-hmm.
He and his father were both gunsmiths, and they came to America in the 1850s and ended up living in Baltimore. The Civil War is starting to brew, and you can imagine how valuable a skilled gunsmith would be to either side of that fence during a war. So Edward Woodward's associates were trying to persuade him to go south, where he would be appointed as the superintendent of a gun manufacturing plant. But his heart wasn't in it. In fact, his family still have the papers where he talked about or wrote about this incident. And his reply, this is a quote in his words, "I will never go against the flag that waved over me when I crossed the boundless sea to this land of liberty. On it, there is no rampant lion to devour nor unicorn to gore. Oh, may that flag forever wave until time shall be no more."
Interesting.
And in case you catch that rhymes, he was also a poet. Like, seriously, he was also a poet.
Oh, wow.
So that's, his love and respect for the American flag and the Union.
Mm-hmm.
So when the war is starting, his age is 47, which would be considered older, to take up a gun and go march off to war.
Sure.
And he had a wife. So what he did was he joined a Union Relief Association. These are groups that were formed to provide aid and relief to soldiers, their widows, their orphans, just doing whatever they could to help people through the war. And so what he was doing is he was caring for hospitalized Union soldiers. And then in July of 1863, you have the Battle of Gettysburg. And immediately after the Battle of Gettysburg, Woodward's wife went to Gettysburg for the sole purpose of being a nurse to those wounded soldiers. And then not long after that, he follows her to Gettysburg, doing the same. It ends up being his home for the rest of his life. So kind of interesting that this battle is what brought him there. And then he ends up living there to the end of his days. He opened a gunsmith shop there in Gettysburg after the war. And then also had this sideline of making these Civil War relic souvenirs.
Like what?
Well, they all look about the same.
Mhm.
All of them are on a wooden base that's about, I would say, 6 inches by 3 inches. And all of his wooden bases have a very distinctive hatch carving across the front, kind of just like a decorative element. And all of them also have in common that they all have a stylized eagle cut from iron at the top of little, I guess I would call it sculpture if you want to look at it as a piece of art, right?
Is that the
but
picture,
then-
Joey? Is that the picture you sent me yesterday?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it kind of looks like an eagle.
yeah. But then there are other items that he would include mounted onto this base, and that always varies. So no two of these are alike. So items that he would mount onto these wood bases would be things like pieces of wood, pieces of granite, rocks from the battlefield, bullets in various forms, bits of shell casings, pieces of shot, bayonet fragments, and things like this, just whatever you might find scattered on the ground. And the really nice thing about our example is on the bottom, in Mr. Woodward's own handwriting, is a paper label, and he has written exactly where these items came from and what the piece is made of. Told by the experts that 9 times out of 10, paper label on the bottom is missing. But our example has the paper label, so we're very happy about that. So I will read you what the label says in Mr. Woodward's words. Relics found on the field at Gettysburg, 14 years after the battle. So that dates it right there. We know 1877. Base made of apple wood, bullet taken from same tree, 2 bullets and point of a bayonet from Little Round Top, piece of shell grape shot from Culp's Hill, granite indigenous, eagle made from fire case of bombshell. And he's taken all these things and he's put them together and made not only a very sentimental piece, but a beautiful piece of artwork.
Well, Joey, I tell you what, I look at the clock. Let's take a time out here. I know that the season, the rest of the season is short here for the museum, but let's take a time out. When we come back, highlight when folks can come out and check this out, and maybe for how long they'll be able to see it as well. So, Joey, again, just how do folks learn more about the C.H. Moore Homestead and DeWitt County Museum?
They can go to our website. That's www.chmorehomestead.org. Or they can follow us on Facebook, DeWitt County Museum, or they can give us a call, 217-935-6066, or stop by anytime.
Joey Long, again, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest on the phone. More to come with her here on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Employers with employees who are exposed to extreme heat or cold put workers at risk and could face higher workers' compensation costs. With help from the Illinois On-Site Safety and Health Program, employers can request a free and confidential on-site visit to identify and develop solutions to workplace hazards. Simply visit worksafe.illinois.gov, sponsored by the Illinois Department of Labor via a 21D grant from the U.S. Department of Labor and aired in cooperation with the IBA and this station.
If you're looking for local hunting and fishing information, then join us for Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, Sundays at 8 a.m. here on WHOW. Every weekend, we'll offer detailed local fishing reports from professional guides. We'll swap stories with local celebrity sportsmen, and I'll invite you to share your stories as well. Central Illinois Outdoors with Jared White, every Sunday morning at 8 on all WHOW platforms and on demand at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Brought to you by Bob Ridings in Pana and the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau.
This is Noah Atkinson, owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln. Our communities thrive thanks to small businesses. That's why I'm pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
Country Junction at the intersection of U.S. Highway 51 and Illinois Route 54 in Clinton has been an area staple for many years. It's filled with ever-changing crafts, folk art, candles, furniture, home accents, decorative accessories, antiques, and much more. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at whow@randyradio.com.
Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs salute this local business for helping make the community grow. And when it comes to envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banners, vinyl wraps, and more, find us online at lincolnprintersinc.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest on the phone this morning, Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum and C.H. Moore Homestead. Now, Joey, I know you were telling us about these unique artifacts and some connections that they have that make them incredibly valuable at the homestead in our first segment. What did you find in terms of how valuable these are, and why are they so valuable? How about that?
Sure. First of all, I want to say that in my eyes as a museum director, I don't place value on things as dollars, more like sentimental value, right? But the real world does, appreciate having a dollar amount on, how valuable or rare something is. And so in my discussion yesterday with Mr. Smith, he did offer that this particular example that we have at the museum, he said he would place a value on it anywhere from $1,700 to $2,000.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah, it kind of felt like I was on Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. That's funny. Very good. Very good. Well, Joey, so folks have, like I said, the rest of the season is short at the museum. So time is of the essence if folks want to come out and see these this year. How about that?
Yes. So I would like to invite everyone to come out and, come and see this little treasure that we've discussed. I'll have it in a special display case so it can be viewed, from all sides and the top, be able to see it, from all points of view. And the museum is open now through the end of December, and our regular daily hours, and we are open during this time of year for daily regular tours. Our regular daily hours are 10 to 5 Tuesday through Saturday and 1 to 5 on Sundays. But as you know, during December, we also have the candlelight tours. So those take place every Friday night now through December 23rd from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. with the doors closing at 7:30 p.m. Mm-hmm. So many, many opportunities to come out, take a look at this little treasure that we have in the collection, and also take in a little bit of holiday cheer with everything all decorated for Christmas.
Very good. So come out, check it out, and yeah, that's going to be great. Will it be on display next year, Joey, or like, are you going to have to cycle these artifacts out?
I'm not sure. We may still have it in that display case where you can see it from all sides. Just kind of depends on what kinds of ideas and projects come up, over the next few months to, just kind of decide what it is that we want to feature for next year.
Very good. Very good. So, Joey, you mentioned that the candlelight tours continue on at the museum. How are those going to this point?
They're going well. We seem to be right on track as far as what we would expect at this point as far as attendance. And then, this year, instead of the calendar only allowing for 4 candlelight tours, we actually will have 5. So we're excited to have that opportunity to offer that extra evening of candlelight tours.
All right, very good. So where do folks go to learn about those candlelight tours, Joey?
They can go to our website. It's www.chmorehomestead.org. The most up-to-date information is always to be found on our Facebook page. That's DeWitt County Museum.
Mm-hmm.
They can give us a call at 217-935-6066 or stop by anytime.
Joey, it's always a pleasure to have you as a special guest on the show, and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to chat with us about this. Great job.
Well, thank you so much. You have a great day.
You do the same. Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest on the phone here for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Network News is next.